G'day everyone, welcome to my channel. We've got a coffee in hand and we've got some new wheels on the feet. That's right, we're looking at the new ASICS Trabuco Mach 4s. I've spent a good 10 plus years working with some of the biggest footwear retailers in the world in both Canada and Australia. So my shoe problem is your solution to finding the right trail running shoe. And I think I may have just found the most comfortable one out there. So enough sitting around, there's only one thing to do. Let's get in the car, get up to the trails and get some miles in these shoes. Let's see how good they actually are. So I'm gonna head up to Devil's Dyke. It's a place here just outside Brighton where I know I'm gonna get some good technical trails as well as some decent elevation. Let's do this. All right, we're here. Let's go do what we do best, running. But first, it's important to open up those hips, stretch both the hamstrings and the calves, and strengthen the peach. It's time to get on these trails, test out these ASICS Trabuco Mach 4s. Let's go. Before we get into the specs of what ASICS say about these shoes, it's really important for me to give you my first impressions. A runner's first impressions are so important. Sometimes these brands don't tell us the full truth. So what is it exactly that ASICS are saying? Well, they're calling this shoe the most protective and comfortable trail shoe out there. My first impressions, they're not lying. It is incredibly lightweight. Looking at that weight, although it feels light, it is 359 grams for a UK 10.5, whereas its competitors like the Pegasus Trails come in lighter at 325, and of course the most popular trail shoe, the Hoka Speedgoat, comes in at 310. But what you lose in weight, you gain in comfort due to the massive stack height and the sole compound known as FF Blast Foam technology. That heel stack is 40 millimeters in height through to the forefoot, which sits at 32 millimeters, giving you an 8 millimeter drop, and nice transition due to the curvature of the toe box. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, yeah, but what about stability, Aaron? Surely with that amount of stack height, you're going to be rolling ankles, too plush. This isn't a trail shoe, right? Well, let me tell you, ASICS thought long and hard about this. This is the beginning of something I feel we're going to see a lot of these bigger brands going for a lot more stack height. But as people are running longer and longer, people are challenging themselves 100 Ks, 100 miles. It's becoming more popular. People are challenging themselves past that marathon distance. And the big brands know this, and they've come up with an idea that they've used the same foam as the ASICS Nimbus 27. However, what they've been able to do is just tone that back a little bit. I think it's very similar to the Nike Pegasus Trail that I did a recent review on, which has got over 8,000 views. Go check that one out. And in there, I spoke about the plushness of that shoe and how it was designed like a bathtub with firmer around the outsole of the shoe, yet not taking away the plushness of that midsole. I think ASICS have done exactly that. And here we are with all my mates. Hey guys, yeah, don't worry, I'm gonna keep moving. Let's go. A few kilometers in, what's my opinion of these shoes? ASICS, you guys are mad. Yeah, that was a really bad joke as well. Maybe I should stick to running, right? But they do as advertised. I feel like this is a shoe that I want to run 100 kilometers in. Alright, so we've been through some fun technical bits there, but what's one of the most important things I look for when I look for a shoe? That's right, I look for really good transition. What do I mean by transition? I'm talking about the strike from heel to forefoot. How does that feel? Does it feel fluid? Does it feel like you're leaning back, too far forward? Well, let's see how this ASICS stacks up. As you can see, I'm a mid to forefoot striker. Due to the 8 millimeter drop and curved toe, this shoe is ideal for this type of runner. My weight is evenly distributed and not coming through my heels, reducing the risk of injury. So let's talk more about the grip and going downhill. How do they fare down those technical trails? Are you going to fall flat on your bum? Ooh, let's go. On the rubber sole are some pretty prevalent lugs that they call ASICS grip, which ensures excellent grip during wet and dry conditions. So how did I feel coming down that hill? Well, one thing that any trail runner wants is confidence. That's the word that comes to mind. I was confident coming down that hill at some speed, zigzagging left to right. So despite that loose gravel, I had a lot of grip. However, I am yet to try this shoe in boggy, wet conditions. Now, if you want a really good review on that, Run for Adventure, Lloyd Purvis gives a really good review. His honest thoughts in terms of how this shoe stacks up against its competitors. And it's not what you would think. Lloyd did have a bit of trouble in those slippery conditions. However, I know personally from using a lot of the really good Vibram grip shoes, no matter what shoe you have, when you get wet enough conditions and boggy enough conditions, you're gonna feel like you're on a bit of a slippery slope anyway. Right, let's crack on. All right, so that is my run done and dusted. So let's jump back in the car and I'm going to give you my final thoughts and most importantly, answer the question, who is this shoe for? Is this for you? At the time of filming this, it's worth noting that I have done about 50 to 60 kilometers in this shoe, which includes a half marathon, a race, which I did last weekend. Firstly, aesthetically, it's a really nice looking shoe. It's the Cold Moss and Nova Orange colorway that they do run with. And it's quite nice. It's not too loud. I care about the performance of the shoe, but I also care about how it looks on foot. Some of those Hoka Speed Goat colorways, amazing shoe, but Hoka, you've really got to lift your game on those colorways. They're terrible. We also spoke about the weight of the shoe. So on average, it's advertised at around about 315 grams. We know I weighed my size before. It's actually heavier than the previous model as well. However, underfoot, it doesn't feel that heavy. That's because of the massive amount of stack height that it's got. So what you lose really in a little bit of weight, you actually gain a lot more in terms of how it feels underfoot. And that transition from heel to forefoot that I spoke about earlier, it's just exceptional. It's like a road shoe. When you're getting into the latter stages of the race, 60, 70, 80 kilometers, you're still gonna have a really nice feel underfoot, which is what you want. The toe box as well, I found exceptionally good. Now I have a fairly narrow foot, so it's never really an issue for me, but if you do have a wider foot, this is a really good shoe for you, especially in that toe box area. That lacing system is really impressive as well, so if you're worried about your foot sliding forward, you're really not going to get that. So what sort of terrain is this shoe good for and what is it not good for? What it's good for is your less technical trails. This shoe is probably not going to be as good for your fell running and your really technical trails. And the reason I say that, what can happen when your legs get really tired is you tend to stop lifting your feet a lot. Now, because of that stack height, when that does happen, you get a false sense of where you are. First race in the ASICS Trabuco Max 4, and as I said, they're not for technical trails. I took a nice little tumble there, got a few little scratches. So despite that, this shoe is still an excellent shoe for your less technical trails and particularly your road to trail. The most important question, who is this shoe for? Now, if you're like me, I'm 6 foot. I'm 83 kilograms. In trail and running terms, I'm a fat bastard. So men, if you are around my weight or heavier than I am, this is a really good shoe for you. That's not to say this shoe isn't for you if you're 50, 60, 70 kilograms, and one of the best training shoes, I would say, to reduce that risk of injury. What I've noticed is they're trying to really go down that route of how can we make trail shoes comfortable like our road shoes without compromising on that stability, because safety is important in the trails. So there you have it, guys. There's my final thoughts on the ASICS Trabuco Max 4. I hope some of those specs of that shoe have helped you make a decision in whether this shoe is right for you. I do thank you guys for watching. It means a hell of a lot to me. Most YouTubers, believe it or not, have an audience of 80 to 90% of people watching their videos that are unsubscribed. It takes a lot of time for me to write this content, film, edit, put it together, and I do it because I enjoy it. Not only do I enjoy it, my motivation is to help people and also inspire them, like people have inspired me along the way. So I hope I've been able to help. Please don't forget to like, comment on my videos, share them, and most of all, subscribe. I've got some great content coming up. I'm going to be writing, filming and editing how to train for a half Ironman. Now, I've already done how to train for a full Ironman, but most people going into triathlon want to start out at the 70.3 distance. So look out for that. We're going to be talking to my cycling coach, Steve, down at Power Watts. He has a wealth of knowledge in terms of how to improve your cycling. So that's a really good video to come out next. But once again, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe. I appreciate you all. Let's go.